What's up, guys? Welcome to FubsyDaily number 10! Number 10! We made it. And I am so excited. Man, there is so much to talk about. I actually slipped back into the soda for today. But there's so much to talk about and so much that I want to go through. This one's going to be a little bit long. But I'm definitely going to put those bookmark things down in the comments down below so you can skip around and get to where you want to go. But yeah, oh man, I'm so excited right now. Okay, so let's talk about this. Let's start from the beginning. So first I want to say thank you to everybody who subscribed. We passed the 350 mark. So now our next goal is 500. And so I know you're all wondering, oh man, what about this? What about this prize? What's going to happen with the prize? Well, as of right now, me recording this, it is 8 o'clock Mountain Time on Sunday. And so I'm going to give 4 more hours for people to subscribe. Now, this video is not going to go up before then, so people aren't going to know, right? My channel is still going to look the same. But I just want to make sure, because in the last video, I said we're going to give Sunday till midnight. So there's 4 more hours for people, and then I'm going to be able to pick, and then I'm going to pick the winner, and the video will go up tomorrow. And you're going to know who won. Yes, I'm going to give away some extra cards. I have because I just, I ended up picking up a Spanish box because I love Spanish cards too much. So I have a Spanish Liliana that I'm going to give away of the M13 Liliana. I've got full Magma Quakes from Game Day. I'm just going to give away some other cards. I'll probably pick 3 or 4 winners because you guys deserve it, because you guys are awesome. So yeah, that's going to be really good. So I'll announce all the winners tomorrow. Along with that, the video should be coming out hopefully tomorrow as well. For the tournament information, we're going to be using that program Cockatrice to run a tournament. So if you've never used it before, check out. I got some videos. I'll put the link right there. Bing! It's pretty cool. And I got some videos how to set it up, how to use it. Get used to it. We're going to have a standard tournament, and we're going to do that for the foil bonfire. That probably will start in the next couple of days. It's going to be maybe a week or 2, depending on how many people sign up. The information will be in the video, but you're going to have to email in again so you can get your name on the record, and we have you make a deck. I'm going to go over all of that in a different video. So yeah, that's going to be super awesome. And then as soon as we hit 500, then we will give away the playset of the money card, the bonfire, or the whatever it's going to be. And probably it'll just end up being bonfire. I think that makes the most sense. So yeah, but anyway, we'll see what happens. Hopefully we'll hit that 500 soon. So keep telling people, keep letting people know to subscribe to the channel. Thank you guys so much. I really appreciate all the support that I've gotten. And yeah, okay, that's the next thing. Sorry, I have this notebook where I write down all my notes. Tournament, contest. Okay, so I got so much good feedback. And so many good questions for this Q&A thing that I know I said before I wanted to do the live stream, and it just tanked. It just didn't work very well. But I'm going to do it for realsies. I want to do it every Sunday, and I want to do it at 9 o'clock Mountain Time. So I know that's a little bit late. That's 11 o'clock Eastern Time, and then 9 o'clock Mountain, 10, and then 8 o'clock California time. I'm doing it at that time because that's right after Breaking Bad. You gotta watch Breaking Bad, right? So I'm gonna let everybody watch Breaking Bad because that's the greatest. And then afterwards, I want to do a live stream. I want to do it every Sunday. I think I'm gonna use Twitch because most people do, but YouTube has this thing where you can use Hangouts, and so I might use Hangouts. I'm not 100% sure. Probably on Tuesday or so. I'll put up my next after Monday, because Monday's gonna be busy. Tuesday I'll put up my next video about that, and every Sunday we'll do that. We'll have a live stream where we can chat and have a good time, because I got so many good questions. I want people in on it every week. And yeah, so I'm really excited about that. And even if you can't participate in the live stream, you can still email your questions to fubsyquestions@gmail.com. Keep sending them, and I'll keep answering them. I might start answering some, I might just type replies back. There are a couple of rules questions that I got that maybe aren't so general. I'll talk about them today because they're good to know. But maybe for next time, yeah, I don't know. Maybe I'll type the answer. I'm not sure. But send your questions. Send them all week long. And then, okay, so let's talk about the next thing. The next thing I have is a logo. So my logo right now looks like this. And as you can see, it's not... Well, it's still my old logo, right? It has, this where Spanish meets StarCraft. It's more of a banner than a logo. And it's not that great. I mean, it's fine. I'm pretty proud of it. I made it 2 years ago. But definitely you can make a better logo. And so what I want to do is I would like to maybe get some help from you guys, from somebody who's really good at this kind of stuff. I can't pay you. I don't have any extra money like that. But just somebody who would like some, maybe, and anybody who wants to give input, send your input to just to FubsyGamer@gmail.com, and let me know what you think. I'm thinking of what I'm going to do is I'm going to take that logo and make it a lot more basic. Take away the image behind it and maybe make it white instead of black. Or transparent, and then I might start I don't know. Depending, what do you guys think? I might start putting it like on deck boxes or like on sleeves. Maybe not sleeves because Dragon Shields are just the best. Play mats, T-shirts, business cards, tokens, stuff like that, and maybe give those away as contest prizes, or maybe have like a store. I mean, I'm not really in this to make money, but I can't give it away for free either. Probably just at cost. I don't know. But I might start doing that with the logo and start getting the name out there and get more people united, so we can all kind of have like a central focus point. But I'd like to know what you guys think about that. So if that's something that interests you, if you wouldn't mind paying a couple bucks for a deck box, or I know inked playmats will give me like $20 for a playmat, so you could do that. I don't know. I mean, if that's something that interests you or that you wouldn't mind doing, let me know. And I'll see if I can throw it together. I'm gonna try anyway, at least to get some business cards or something. Because people at the game store is always asking. I just want to be able to hand them out instead of having people write things down. But yeah, so let me know about that. Let me know what you think, and let me know if you're interested in something like that. Because I think that'd be really neat. And if you're good at that kind of stuff, contact me. Because I don't know exactly where I want to go or what I want to do. I might revamp the whole thing. I don't know. I can't figure it out. I'm not that good at that. I'm not great. Like the logo I made now, I just followed like 2 or 3 tutorials, like on like how to do different logos, and then I just kind of mixed them all together and made the logo. So yeah, and that's what I want to do with the logo. So yeah, contact me. Let me know what you think. Let's move on to. Oh yeah, so yesterday had a good time. This weekend was Star City, Kansas City. It was a pretty good Star City. There were a couple of games where it was a little bit ugly. But I'm probably going to go over and analyze a couple of games. My last daily got a lot of great feedback. People really liked the game analysis, so probably I'll do that again. But it was pretty sweet. So yesterday, I'm just going to tell this quick story because I think it's kind of fun. Yesterday, after the Star City games ended, Josh and I went up to one of our buddies' house, Travis. It was his birthday. And so there were a bunch of us there cubing and drafting and playing standard and having a good time. So we went up as soon as the Star City game was, as soon as the top 8 ended Saturday night. And so we drove up there and playing a bunch of standard, just having a good time with people. So then a bunch of people went home, and it ended up being just 4 of us. Just me and Josh, Aaron, and Travis, right? And so we did our 2-headed draft, which is what we did before. I don't know if you guys remember. I've done this once before with the cube, where you get packs of 16 cards, 4 packs of 16 cards, and you look at it together, and then you pass the packs. Remember back and forth, 2-headed giant draft? So we did that again, but we did the most ridiculous draft ever. So here's what we did, right? Check it out. We took a pack of M13, a pack of Avacyn Restored, and a pack of Innistrad. And then we took a 15 card pack or 16 card pack of the cube. Then because those normal packs only have 14 cards in them that are draftable, because the land doesn't count, the token doesn't count, we put 2 cube cards with each pack. And then we just drafted that. And it was ugly. Man, it was brutal. Me and Aaron, we were on a team again together. We're undefeated, by the way. We're 2-0 with our 2-headed giant cube draft. So bring it. We had the most ridiculous, like, I had this green-white birthing pod deck that I had Sun Titan, and I had Elish Norn, and I had just a bunch of ridiculous stuff. And he had, like, a Koth or... No, he had Sarkin, the black-red Sarkin. It was ridiculous. Don't ever draft like that. Oh man, that was like the worst. Like it's just, man, someone's cards are so bad. It was just funny because you're playing with like some of the most powerful cards that exist with the cube, and then you're playing with things like Bonding Beetle and like just awful cards. That dragon or the worm that your life can't go below 7. That was pretty annoying. We almost lost to that, but we were able to take care of it. We had like double mortar pod and deal 5, and it was ugly. Anyway, we had a good time with it though. So I just wanted to talk about that. You guys should definitely cube if you haven't cubed before. Check it out. It's super fun. But yeah, that's kind of all the housekeeping tips or things that I had to talk about right now. That went a lot faster than I thought it was going to go. I thought it was going to be like 30 minutes of that. Cool. But let's move on, huh? Let's talk about questions. I'm so excited. Okay, I gotta get an email. And I gotta go over here, FubsyQuestions@gmail.com. I got like 20 of these. I'm so happy, guys. I'm so happy you guys did this. Okay. And let's start. Wait, here we go. Okay, so let's start with a question from who? Well, I guess I'll say just the first name. I don't know how to pronounce his last name, and I don't want to give it out. But Nikhil is his first name. Emailed me and said, "Hey, I'm number 179. Thanks very much." And he said, "When I found this on Reddit, I was only interested in the prizes, but I do enjoy your dailies and have a few questions." That's cool. A lot of people came over for the prizes, and I'm fine with that. Because I'm hoping that you'll like maybe watch another video just because you're interested, and you'll kind of catch on, and hopefully you keep watching, keep listening. That was the whole point of what I did that for. Anyway, so number one, what do you think Slumbering Dragon can be used well in a standard deck? So Slumbering Dragon is a card. I gotta look up this guy. I'll put him on the screen for you guys. So we have Slumber. I think he's the fire breathing. Oh, okay. I know this guy. So this guy, okay, so Slumbering Dragon. Flying, can't attack or block unless he has +1/+1 creatures. Whenever someone attacks you, they get +1 creature. This guy is not good in standard. The issue is he just dies to too many things right now. Vapor Snag just crushes this guy. Because, like, you can get him to 4 counters, and then you just snag him, and he's just toast. And he's just not doing enough right now, because a lot of the games are just blowouty, and I just don't like this guy very much. I think he dies to, like I said, just too many things. And like his drawback that like he can't his +1/+1 counters don't go on unless like your opponent is attacking you. Your opponent can play around that really well. So if this is your game plan, right? Like you play a Slumbering Dragon and then you're like, yes, I got him. If your opponent's Naya or if zombies, they'll just kill it, right? But if you're like a Naya or your Delver, they'll just wait. They'll wait until they have an answer. And then they'll just build up their side of the board. And their decks are so efficient that they can just keep going and keep building. And then they'll just run you over, like in 1 or 2 turns. And then it won't matter anymore. So while he's an interesting card, he's great in draft. This guy is amazing in limited. I don't think he's that great of a standard card. Another issue is that he's red, and I know that sounds kind of silly, but red right now is just not a strong color in Magic. Especially not like where red is like the primary color in a deck. Like you have Naya, so it has a couple of burn spells, like a Hunt Master. That's really only what Naya, and Bonfire, of course. But like you're not playing red cards a lot. Like Krenko, it just isn't quite good enough. I wish he had haste. I wish he was like a 1/1 with haste or something. But red is a primary color, just not strong right now. And so he doesn't fit in a red deck very well. He doesn't fit in the other decks at all right now. So Slumbering Dragon is not one that I would pick. 2. Besides limited, do you think Dark Imposter will find a place in constructed? I don't think so either. He's really good in limited again, but he just costs too much mana. Like in limited, right, you have limited amounts of removal and you have not as many ways to deal with creatures, and when you deal with creatures, it's a really big deal. So you can pay 6 every turn and take out a creature, and that's great. But in Constructed, you need to be doing more with your mana, right? Doomblade only costs 2. If Doomblade costs 4, no one would play it. It's too expensive. And that's kind of what you're doing, is Doomblading every turn. Without doing it, you're just tapping out, taking all your mana every turn. So your 6 mana gets a guy and gets a +1/+1 counter on your guy, but my 6 mana gets me like a Primeval Titan. And so I have these extra lands, I can gain the life, I got the Inkmoth and the Wolf Run. Or it gets me like a Frost Titan, I can tap him. 5 mana gives me a Thrag Tusk. You don't want to get rid of that guy. I don't think the Dark Imposter is good enough for standard. I've seen people try him, and who knows what will happen after rotation. But I think he is too slow and too mana intensive for standard right now. And then in standard and EDH, the third question, how applicable is Worldfire? What a ridiculous card, right? Worldfire costs, what does Worldfire cost? Like 9? Worldfire costs 9. Yeah, 9. Nah. This card is garbage. Like, it's funny. Like you could play it in EDH or something, or just to have a good time with, but no. Like, that's just not doing at all what you want it to do. No, especially because you're going to use it on your turn. So then your opponent gets to use their mana first. I don't know. I don't think this card is good at all. I would never play it. And 4, what is the most jank or odd deck you have lost to? This is a good question. I lost to a guy. He knows who he is, but I'll remain nameless. And he was playing 12 swords in his deck, and I was playing Delver. So I'm playing Delver, best deck in the format. This is back before Restoration Angel. So let's see, Thoughtscour had just come out. So Dark Ascension had just come out with Hunt Masters and stuff. And he was playing red-black vampires. There was no Blood Artist, right? None of the good cards. Just red-black vampires. And he was playing 12 swords. 4 of each sword that's legal in standard. And he crushed me. And it was ridiculous how bad he crushed me. And I was just in shock. I just couldn't beat him. I don't know how to explain it. I just couldn't beat the guy. And it was funny because like a week later, or a week before, he beat me again with that same deck, and I was playing like Esper Control. I was playing Esper Planeswalkers, if you remember that deck, with Lilianas and Gideons and Jaces and all that. And Lingering Souls, Day of Judgment. I was playing that deck, and I lost to him there too. Man, it was just ugly. Like, he had my number for a little while there. He like 3-0'd me in 3 FNMs. And he's not like a PTQ grinder. He doesn't, I mean, he's just a casual player playing his fun decks. But he has my number. He beat me a lot. It was really funny. So that's a deck I definitely lost to that felt weird to lose to that deck. Okay, let's check our next one. So we have... Oh, whoop, that's wrong. I went to the contest. Okay. This email comes from Keaton. Hi, Keaton. How you doing, buddy? Okay, it says, what guild is your most favorite flavor-wise, and what is your most favorite card flavor? And what is your most favorite card-wise? Oh, I understand. What guild is your most favorite flavor-wise, and what guild is your most favorite card-wise? So I have a bad news. I didn't play during Ravnica. I know, I'm sorry. I'm really sorry. But I didn't play during Ravnica, so I don't know. I like Azorius because blue-white, and blue-white's the best. But I don't have a favorite guild. I should. Niv Mizzet, I like Niv Mizzet, so maybe I like red, blue. I don't even know the name of that. Demir? I don't know the name of that guild. I don't know the names of the guilds very well. So I have this cheat sheet that I use. I'll throw it up on the screen. Where is that? It's under here. Cool stuff. Apparently it is not where I thought it was. Oh, here, guilds. Okay, yeah, so I have this thing here. Cheating. So I like blue, red. Is it? There you go. I'm embarrassed that I don't know those better, but I just don't. I didn't play during Ravnica, so I'm really excited for Return to Ravnica to see what comes back. And my favorite guild card-wise, same thing. I like Niv Mizzet in EDH, but I just don't have a favorite guild, so I'm really sorry. Thank you, though, for your questions. So let's move on. This is from Jonathan. Okay, so I'm going to read his email. It says, you sound like the top cheese at your store. Thank you. I appreciate that. I don't know that I am, but I appreciate the kind words. He said, so you probably don't have this problem, but do you ever deal with assholes? Or, bleep. Whatever, I said it. But anyway, unfortunately at my store, the only place within walking bus distance to play, the top few players who are also friends with the owner are massive dicks. They seem to think they're better than everyone else, and it really damages my experience. There might be 5 awesome people, 5 good people, 5 okay people, but then 3 dicks. Especially if I get paired to play against one of the rude or mean players, it just outweighs it. Thanks. This is tough. This is really tricky, because when I've noticed this a lot in the Magic community is that they're very angry. I think it's partly, not the only reason, partly because we play a very stressful game and losing just sucks. People are just kind of perpetually in bad moods. And I think that, I hate to say it, but the best way to deal with this is to just find your own group of friends. Find the cool people. There are cool people at your store, and I guarantee you, if you feel like this, then there are a lot of other people who feel the same way that you do. And you guys should just band together and just have a good time. And just kind of ignore those guys. And you know what? Maybe let them know in a constructive way. You have to be able to analyze and see, okay, is this guy in a bad mood where, like, talking to him isn't going to do anything? Or maybe he doesn't know. There are some players that I play with even. They're a little bit elitist. And so, like, when they play against some mono-red player playing Stone Rights or something, they just kind of immediately shun a little bit and they look down on him. And you know, I've talked to them, and I'm sure you could talk to them. You could talk to someone like that and say, hey, man, like, you know, I really don't appreciate that. Or, you know, it'd be really cool if you were a little bit more nice or something. Maybe they'd be receptive to it. If they're just douchebags overall, then you just have to dodge them. And also beat them, which is sweet. Play well. Watch out if they're douchebags, like I think it might be. Make sure they're not cheating, and you make sure you're playing clean. Because those kind of people will get you on like a lot of like little simple rules things, where like if you forget to play a land for your turn and then you're like go, oh shoot, land, they won't let you. You just have to play on the top of your game. But in general, I think Magic, it's just kind of like life, if you have douchebags in your store, you just kind of have to kind of live with it, but find your own group of friends. Don't worry about what they're doing as much. Just remember it's just a game, and you're here to have fun. hopefully you don't go alone to your store, and hopefully you have friends there that you play with. If the store owner is receptive, maybe talk to him about it. Because in the email you said that they're friends with him, right? Top few players who are also friends with the owner are massive dicks, yeah. So maybe you could talk to the store owner as well. I would say, so I'm going to say one of my two responses. First, analyze the type of people they are a little bit, right? If they're receptive to it, talk to them or talk to the store owner. Because maybe they'll be open to it. Or if they're in a group and there's one of them, then talk to the one guy. And just let him know, hey man, I'm just trying to get better. I'm just here to have a good time. Sometimes it kind of hurts when you guys are like this. Maybe they'll be really receptive. If they're not like that, if they don't come off like that, the second thing to do is just ignore them and just get your own friends and just kind of stay away and just ignore them and don't antagonize them and don't let them antagonize you. Just ignore it. They'll leave. They'll get tired of it. And I'm really sorry to have to say it like that, but that's what I would do. And when you get paired against them, just play clean and just be done with it. I mean, it sucks. I played against angry people. I played against a guy who threw his deck against the wall when I was done. You just have to. I mean, it's scary and it's a little bit like, at the time it just sucks. But you have to remember that there's always another game, and you can always just move on and just play the next round and play against somebody who is cool. But good luck with it. I'd love updates. I'd love to know how it went for you or what you did. Please, follow up. Let's talk to the next person, Joe. This is Joe, and this guy's awesome. I traveled with him to Vegas, and he asked if I'm single, and I am single, but I don't like boys, so sorry, broski. I'm into the chicas. No, yeah, I am single, whatever. But, so then he said, what are some of your plans for traveling? Oh, yeah, so I'm going to be traveling. I was going to try and hit Denver for the Star City Open in the end of August. It's not going to work out. I just started this new job, can't get the work off. It's just not quite going to work out. But I'm going to go to California for the Grand Prix, and then the limited Grand Prix, and then I'm going to go to Vegas in the December for the Star City Open there as well. And I'm going to try to go to others. If I have extra money, maybe I'll fly out to another Star City or something. But for now, those are my travel plans. We go to California and then Vegas. And then once it picks up again next year, I'll go to all the places I can around here. But yeah, so I'm going to advertise it. I'm going to let you guys know, especially when we get more and more followers. I'm going to start saying where I'm going to go. Maybe we can meet up, Like maybe I'll be at Gen Con next year. I'm not going this year, but maybe I'll go to Gen Con next year. And whoever else is going, we can all hook up together and go out and get Steak and Shake or something. I don't know. That'd be really fun, though. So that's kind of my travel plans there. So let's say, okay, next question is from Hayden. I know this guy, too. This guy's awesome as well. He's a local player here. So, a couple questions. Nyapod versus Melirapod in Modern. Modern is really tricky because, unless it's like a Modern PTQ, a Pro Tour season, and even then, not really. Modern, people just aren't that great at Modern because people don't play it very much. It's not like Standard, where there's a tournament every weekend and things are being like whittled around. I mean, I would say I'd pick Nyapod because their combo is stronger and it's also easier to get to. Melirapod, you have to get the Viserys here, and then you have to be able to sack your Kitchen Finks, and you have to have your Melira, and they all have such low toughness, any of them can be killed really easily, and it's just as crazy. And then you don't actually kill them with that interaction. All you're doing is gaining life. You still then have to kill them. It's just not. With this one, it's like, yeah, I just crush you. And like, the great thing about Nyapod is that even if you don't have the pieces to your puzzle, the cards are still awesome on their own, right? So if you just have 3 Restoration Angels and you can't get a Kiki-Jiki to save your life, that's fine. Restoration Angel's a beater, and you're going to beat him with it. Or if you get your Kiki-Jiki and don't get your Angels, you can still copy other cards. You can still copy your other cards, for a turn and give them haste and swing, and you can still do all that. Their cards are very powerful even on their own. Whereas with Melirapod, if you just get Melira, right? If you just get her, and you draw her, and you're like, oh great, player, I have nothing else. She doesn't do anything on her own. Kitchen Finks kind of does. Viserys here, nothing. So, you have to get the whole combo together. Nyapod is really strong on its own as well as together. So I would pick Nyapod. But in general in Modern, I would pick Delver over any of those decks, because Delver's the best. What has been the hardest part of trying to get on the Pro Tour? That's a really good question. So, there's two things that are stopping me right now. Well, besides winning a PTQ, right? Travel is kind of tough. There was one in Montana that I couldn't. One of these obstacles I think I've just overcome though, which was the travel part, the money part, because I was unemployed for a couple of months there, and so I just didn't have the extra cash. So I actually had to borrow from some people and try and get to the PTQs, and someone sponsored me, and that was awesome. But now that I have this really great paying job and I have every weekend off, I can start traveling to all these PTQs. I'm going to start doing it, especially when the next season comes around. I'm going to travel to every PTQ. Whereas it was really tough before to do that. So that was the hardest part, but I think I've overcome that. So now the hardest part is just winning, is just staying consistent and playing my best the whole day. At both of the PTQs where I top 8'd, I made mistakes in the top 8 which made me lose. In Vegas and also when I got second in the Utah one. Right? Both times it was me misplaying that cost me the game. It wasn't, I mean, my opponent, they played better than me, right? But it wasn't like they outplayed me or played in circles around me and I was just too dumb. It was just me misplaying, I just couldn't stay focused. At Boise I got sick, doesn't count. But yeah, so that's kind of how that felt. It just wasn't, I just got to be, it's really tough to play that much Magic, especially when it's so hot and like so crowded. And like if you're winning a lot, that means you're not getting food, so hopefully your teammates go out and get food. I'll tell you one thing though that helps when you go to PTQs, is if you travel with people who are as good as you are, if not better. In Vegas, it felt really like when we were done with 4 rounds. So I traveled with Joe, the guy who asked the question before, and then Aaron and Drew, the guy who won it. And the 4 of us together, we did great at this PTQ. We did great at the PTQ. And it was really neat to come back after round 1, and we're all like, okay, we all won. Whew! And then go after round 2. Okay, we're all still, that's great. Round 3, we're all winning. Round 4, we're all winning. Round 5, oh, okay, he's 4-1. I'm 5-0. You're 4-1. He's 4-1. We were all right there. Drew and I made top 8, and the other 2 lost their win innings to get into the top 8. But it wasn't like, it's kind of discouraging if you go and your whole team, it's kind of how it was for Utah. I still ended up doing well, but in Utah, it was like my whole team, 1-3 dropped, except for me. And it was kind of discouraging a little bit to have to go back to him and be like, hey, how you doing? And, oh, you lost again. Oh, you lost again. Oh, you dropped. Oh, you guys are going to cube. Are you going to get food? And kind of being on my own a little bit. It's great when you have a team who's as good as you, who are all doing well. It just feels really, really good. So for now, the hardest part is just playing better. I just have to just stay on top of my game the whole time. And a follow-up. What one thing has made the biggest difference in the chase for the Pro Tour invite? To be honest, it's Josh Snow. It's being with someone who has as much drive as you do to get into the Pro Tour. That is a huge factor, because if you're alone in your ambition, if it's just you traveling, or if it's people that you don't get along with that well, it can be really tough sometimes. It can be really tough to motivate yourself to say, I'm just going to drive for 8 hours because I want to go there. But it's different when you have a friend or someone like Josh. I see Josh 3-4 times a week, and we play all the time together. We're always playing games together. And we play other games together too. We play chess, we play Ascension, we play Dominion. We just games. We play together and we think alike. I had a really cool experience with this FNM, where this kid asked for a lot of help with his Naya deck, and I gave a lot of advice. And then Josh, who's a better player than me, he understands a little bit better that deck. So then after I gave all my advice, Josh came over, and the kid asked him for advice, and Josh gave a lot of the same advice that I did, and it just felt good, right? It felt good to be like, man, look at this guy. He got 10th in the GP, and he's giving this advice, and I'm giving the same advice, and that felt really cool. That I know that I'm on the same page as him. So I think having somebody who's like that with you, I think you should do that. Whoever, if you're looking to get onto the Pro Tour, there is someone in your local area who wants to do it too. I promise they're there. You might have to post on Reddit, or you might have to, try and find them in your store. Someone is trying just as hard as you, or wants to. Hook up with them. Play every day together. Play test a lot. Get on the same level, and then start traveling. Just go. People get really intimidated by these tournaments. You just can't. You just have to go, and you just have to try your hardest. But great, thank you for the questions, Hayden. Let's move on. Igor. Okay, his question. Is a casual gaming background useful in a competitive setting? That's tricky. So he has a follow-up. I see myself as an example, because I played so much casual in EDH game. I have seen and caused so many rules interactions that the local legacy crew actually turned to me with their questions. Let's see. Yeah, I mean, kinda. That's tricky, because EDH, I get, it does help you with, you have crazy rules interactions you don't see a lot of time in Standard, but knowing knowing the rules is important. Understanding things you can do, like a good example is if a phantasmal image is copying like a Strangurgeist or a creature with Undying, and it hasn't undied, right? It doesn't have a counter on it. It's just copying it. If it dies, when it comes back, obviously you can pick another creature, right? But you can also choose not to pick anything, and it will just come into play with a 1/1 counter on it. So it's just a 1/1 creature. And it also doesn't have that clause about being targeted and sacrificing itself. That no longer exists on there. So you can like have copy a Strangurgeist, then it dies, so then it goes out of play, then comes back into play with a +1/1 counter on it. You just leave it as nothing, leave it empty. Then you can like play a Restoration Angel later in the game, flicker it, have it come back in as a copy of the Restoration Angel or something else at that time. So that's a really good way to use Phantasmal Image, and that's something that you have to know from the rules. You can't just know that. Or you could maybe. But that's just one. Oh, I got a mail. That's just one example. But the rules, no, it's not always the most important part, because what's more important to know or to understand is how to make tight plays, right? And how to play to your outs, and how to not make any mistakes, not give any extra information. So the casual players, while they do that in some ways, they don't do it in others. Another thing that I've noticed with casual players, which is fine, I'm not saying it's bad at all. He's just asking how does it compare casual to competitive, right? So another thing that casual players do is they don't care so much about winning all the time, and they don't play the best decks or the best cards. They're more there to have fun, which is awesome. It is great to have fun, like the 12 Swords guy, right? Just having a good time. But I know some casual players who could definitely take their game to the next level, but they don't. There's a guy at my store who plays Door to Nothingness decks and like 12 Planeswalker decks, and he has a great time with them. And they're awesome, and he always goes 3-1 FNM. He does great. He could be way better. If he played Delver or Naya or Zombies, or like a tier 1 deck, and he really dedicated, he could do even better. But he's fine with where he is, because he's a casual player, and that's great, I mean, I love that guy. I love seeing him at the store. But in order to get to that competitive level, you just have to start making tight decisions and really thinking about your plays and just analyzing and start living and breathing Magic, but not in a collector's way. Like Josh and I, as an example, we barely trade. I don't have any trades, really. I have like maybe this many because I open my Spanish box. But I kind of stepped aside from all that. Again, not saying it's bad. I think it's awesome that people do that. I think it's really cool. I look at the table and it's like 15 cards being traded on each side, and there's like $400 worth of product there, and that's pretty cool stuff. It's just not for me. I just care about winning, and I care about playing the best cards in the best deck, and that's really what I'm here for. But thank you very much. Oh, I'll give him a shout out. He has a show of War and Peace. It's a podcast on the MTG Cast. Check it out. It's pretty good. I might go on there sometime, so look for it. But yeah, so Igor with the show of War and Peace podcast. Thank you very much. Okay, Craig Swindle. He's got a question about land. Oh, you know what? Craig, I'm going to reply to you specifically because this requires a long explanation, but I don't want to. We don't need to talk about it here. But I'm going to write you an email and talk about you later. Let me write this down real quick. Craig. Okay. Next question from Leah, and she's actually from Utah. How awesome is that? Go Utah. What tournament etiquette is overlooked in casual play? Okay, so this is really good. I should prepare for this more. So when you go to a tournament compared to casual play, one of the biggest things, one of the hugest things is takebacks, right? If you're at a PTQ or a Grand Prix, right, I'm not going to let you take back things. So you have to make sure you're doing it right, and make sure, just be tight in the way you play. You can't play a land and then go, oh shoot, nope, I mean this land. I'm going to stop you. Right? And it's not that I'm trying to be a jerk. It's that part of Magic, people don't understand. That part of Magic is playing correctly. Right? That's part of being successful as a competitive Magic player. So I've had people complain before saying, oh, I misplayed. If I hadn't misplayed, I would have won. So you should just give me the win. And my response is, no, because you didn't make the play correctly. And Magic isn't just... If Magic was only this deck against this deck and that's it, then you just let a computer. You would just both randomize your decks, put them in like a computer, and the computer will just look at it and go, this person's going to win, right? But Magic is not that. Magic is about playing that person that's right in front of you, making the correct decisions when it counts. And in casual play, you don't do that as much. You're taking back things, you're oops things. We had this joke about Josh, that Josh likes to play lands at the end of turn, because and it's just when we're playtesting or whatever, he'll attack, he'll play a sword, and then he'll say go, and then he'll be like, oh, play a land. Because we're having a good time. And whatever, it's usually just fine. We don't care if we're just playtesting. But in a tournament, you have to make sure you have to play tight, and you have to do that. Another thing is calling a judge. In F&M, you don't really ever call judges unless neither of you know what's happening. Like, if you're like, I don't know how this interaction works, and they don't know either, then you call over your F&M leader, or maybe just a smart player over there. At a tournament, though, you should not feel shy to call a judge. That's what they're there for. If you don't know what a card does, you don't ask your opponent, right? Because your opponent doesn't have your best interests at heart. Call the judge. And make sure he's a legitimate judge. Make sure he actually gives you a correct answer. An example of this, now this was just an F&M, right? But this was one of my first F&Ms. Back a year ago. My opponent played a Frost Titan. And it was an Asian language Frost Titan, right? And he tapped down one of my things. And I untapped and I played Chase. Oh, and I asked him what, and then I asked him what it did. Or maybe I asked it before. And he said, okay, if you target it with a spell, you have to pay 2 more, or else it's countered. And I said, okay, got it. So then I played Jace, and I said, bounce him. And he said, oh, you didn't pay 2, so it's countered. And I said, well, you told me it was just a spell. You just told me if it was a spell, but this is an ability. This is different. And he said, no, it's spells and abilities. Sorry, I forgot to tell you. Right? Now, that's at F&M. We were able to back up. Everything was handled just fine. But at a PTQ, like if someone plays an Asian language card and you need to know exactly what it does, call a judge. Ask them if they mind if you look it up on your phone. Look at that card in English or whatever. Or have them tell you exactly what it does, word for word. But don't be afraid to call judges. If you suspect anything, call the judge over. That's what they're there for. People are very shy about calling judges. People get very awkward about it. But that's what they're there for. And that's what the judges are there to do. Besides run the tournament, is answer your questions and make sure that you feel comfortable in your environment. So how does a big tournament work? She has the examples here: buys, finals, and pairing. Okay, so I'm not sure I understand exactly the structure, but let's talk about a Grand Prix, okay? So let's at the Salt Lake City Grand Prix. There were like 1,100 people there. So how it worked was, day 1, there were 9 rounds. And you had to go 7-2 or better, which means 7-2 or 7-1-1 or 8-1 or, something, 8 or 7-0-2, something like that. You had to have 7 wins and 2 losses or better. And if you did that, then you got to day 2. Day 2 was literally what it sounds like. It's the next day. So you play 9 rounds on Saturday. Then on Sunday, whoever's left, they usually play 6 more rounds. So a total of 15 rounds. And then at the end of that, then they take the top 8 players with the top 8 rankings, and they have them, and then they put them into the top 8, and then they play out there. So we'll talk about that in a second. But so, how they determine your wins and your losses, right? So every time you sit down to play a match, right? There's points that you get depending on your wins and your losses. If you play at F&M, you've probably seen like a number next to your name, like 21 or 18 or 12 or 6 or something like that. How it works is for every win, you're awarded 3 points. This is not Planeswalker points, right? There's nothing to do with that. This is just 3 points for this tournament. You win, you get 3 points. If you draw, you get 1 point. And if you lose, you get 0 points. So let's say there's 10 people in a tournament. Or 20 people, right? After round 1, there's 10 people left. There's 10 people that won, 10 people that lost. Make it easy, right? So 10 people have 3 points, and 10 other people have 0. Then you play the next round. Now there's going to be 5 people with 6 points. Then there's going to be 10 people with 3 points, right? Because half of the 3-pointers lost, half of the 0-pointers won. So there's 10 people with 3, and there's still 5 people with 0. And then it kind of breaks down like that. So you get 3 points for a win, 1 point for a loss, 1 point for a draw, 0 for a loss. That's why a lot of times in a tournament, you'll see people look at the standings, look at the points, and then decide, because sometimes you can intentionally draw with your opponent to get into the top 8, to guarantee your slot. So how I did this, at the PTQ in Utah, I went 5-0, right? The first 5 rounds I won. So I had 15 points. Is that right? Yep, 15 points. And there's another guy, at that point, for starting round 6, there were only 2 people who had 15 points. It was me and another guy, Alex Sidner. So for round 6, we intentionally drew. We knew that we could go 15, and then 16 and 17. We could draw the next 2. And we would still have enough points, no matter what, to put us in the top 8. You have to just look at the standings and go, okay, there's this many people with 12 points, so they could get to potentially 18 points. How many people could get 18? Only 1 person. Even if everyone else just wins, only 1 person can get more. These people can get this many. You just have to figure out the math. And you just look at it and kind of do the math and say, okay, if he wins every match, how many points is he going to have? And as long as you know that you can get into the top 8 with those draws, then you just intentionally draw to get into the top 8. That happens all the time. All the time. Or, like in the example of Worlds, Conley Woods went undefeated for, I don't remember how many rounds, 14 rounds maybe? I can't remember. So then the last 2, he knew that he was a lock for the top 8. He had enough points, he was guaranteed the top 8, even if he lost the next 2. So he intentionally gave his teammates the wins in the next 2 rounds. Not a draw, but he let them win and get their points so they could also be in the top 8. So that's just kind of... I hope that makes sense. It's kind of confusing at first. To be honest, what I would do your first couple times in a PTQ, I would get somebody you really trust, who's been around for a while, and I would have them look at the standings. I would have them help you. Because they'll know. They'll be able to tell if you can draw to get in the top 8, or if it doesn't matter if you win or lose, or if you can win. There's been one time, there was a time where if I won, I could be in the top 8. But if my opponent won, he could not be in the top 8. So, either way, it was either neither of us get in the top 8, or I get in the top 8. And I told him that. Now you cannot offer bribes. This is very important. In a tournament, in any tournament, FNM or anything, but especially in a PTQ or Grand Prix, you cannot say, "Hey, I'll give you $20 if you let me win." You cannot do that. You'll both get disqualified. Well, you'll get disqualified, and if your opponent doesn't say anything, he'll also get disqualified. So don't do that. Also, you can't roll a dice to see who wins. You can't say, "Well, if either of us wins, we're in the top 8. Why don't we just roll a dice?" Nope. You can't do that either. You could decide right there, not by bribing, but you can say, "Will you let me win because of this?" And they can say yes or no. Or you just play it out. So I told him that. I sat down and I said, "Hey man, I've looked at the points. You have 14, I have 15. If I win, I can make the top 8. If you win, you can't. It doesn't matter what happens to you. You cannot make the top 8. And I can with a win. Would you please give me this win? Would you please concede to me so that I can make the top 8? He said no. And I beat him. Yes, I beat him. But you could do something like that. The only time you can split a prize or do anything like that is in the finals of the tournament. And then you only it's really confusing from there. I don't even want to go into all the details because I'll probably get it wrong. But look in there. You can look up the rules or Google it. But it's basically like you can only offer the concession once. And you can offer one sort of prize split where it's like winner takes this, loser takes that deal. And if they say no, then you're like, okay, no, you can't negotiate. It's really complicated. But that's kind of the idea there. And then once you hit the top 8, then there's this new rule that just came out maybe 2 months ago, maybe a month ago, where if you're in the top 8 pairings, right? So at the end of the standing, at the end of the Swiss, they call it. Swiss is just the rounds leading up to the top 8. So when the Swiss is all over, after 7 rounds of the PTQ, or whenever it's all over, then you just look, and it just ranks you, right, with the number of points you have. If you have the same amount of points, it goes by how well your opponents did that you beat. So if I have 18 and you have 18, it's going to rank us depending on how well our opponents played, and our opponents' points. And if those are the same, it goes by their opponents. Right? It's just kind of saying whoever beat the better people, kind of, gets the higher ranking. So after that, you get your top 8, right? You go, okay, 1st to 8th, you're the top 8, you play. Then, 1st place plays 8th, 2nd place 7th, 3rd place 5th, 6th, and 4th place 5th, right? So you're like 1 and 8, they play, and 2 and 7, they play. Does that make sense? And the higher ranking, this is new, right? In the top 8, the person who has the higher ranking from Swiss gets to be on the play, or they get to choose who's on the play in the top 8. So this is really important, right? This means that if you are number 1 in the ranking, if you win every match, you will always be able to be on the play. You don't have to roll a die to see who goes first. You get to decide who goes first. And that's really cool. I really like that. Because it encourages people from just double drawing in. So actually, what I ended up doing at that Utah PTQ was a little bit different. I ended up drawing round 6, and then I played round 7. Because even with a loss, I was still in the top 8. If I lost, I was 6th or 7th. And if I won, I was in 1st or 2nd. So I was like, oh, I'll just play. I'll try and get 1st instead of getting 4th, right? And I didn't. I ended up losing. Didn't matter. But yeah. Because you really want that 1st, 2nd, or 3rd, or 4th slot. And 1st, preferably. So you always get to go 1st through the rest of the top 8. It's really good. It's really a big advantage to have. The 3rd question she has, how do you handle your opponent going on tilt? This is brutal. This is awful. I hate this. right? When you play cards and you're beating them, I think I talked about this, the one of the Win It Box a couple weeks ago. I kept a hand with 3 Mana Leagues and 2 Snapcaster Mages against a control deck. And I went turn 1 Delver, and then turn 2 he flipped. And then I just Mana Leaked everything he did from turn 2 until he finally died. It was just, maybe the Delver didn't even flip on the first turn, I can't remember. But anyway, it took all 3 Mana Leaks and 2 Snapcaster Mages, and then he died. It was just brutal. It was just ugly. And he went on tilt. He went on really hard tilt that game. And it sucks when that happens. It really sucks because your opponent is in a really bad mood. And they're really pissed off. And you're just, what are you supposed to do? You kind of say, I'm sorry? You're like, oh, sorry, bro. Sorry, my deck is better than yours. Like, I don't know. I mean, it's really tough. So here's what I always do. I always distance myself a little bit from the game. Make sure I'm not getting mad at myself. Make sure I don't go on tilt. That's the number one thing. You don't go on tilt. Even if he does, you don't. You have to stay focused and stay good. Also, cut any small talk you were doing. I just act like I'm playing against the computer or something, right? Because they're getting all ticked off, and you're just like, yeah, yep, like, flip the Delver with Mana Leak, flip it, and go. You just have to do it. Don't go lenient on them either. As ticked off as they might be, don't ever give them the game. Because it's Magic, they're here to play. They're here to play competitive Magic. Even at FNM, they're there to be in a competition. And you have to win. You have to play to win. So you can't feel bad. You can feel bad on the inside. You can be like, yeah, that sucks. He's like that. But don't give in and don't give them the win. Don't go on tilt yourself. And also, don't rub it in at all. Don't rub it in. Okay, let's say he's on major tilt. He's super pissed off. And you beat him. Don't give him any suggestions. Don't be like, man, you could have done this and this differently. Don't do any of that. You just beat him, and he says, okay, you win. And you go, great. Thanks. Don't even say good game. Maybe. But I don't when they're on tilt like that. If someone's really pissed, I don't say good game. Because I've had people blow up at me. I'll be like, good game, man. And I'll go for like a handshake. And they're like, no, because Delver's unfair and blah, blah, blah. How dare you call that a good game? And I just leave it alone. I just beat them, okay, boom. And they go, yep. I'm like, okay, so you're 0? And they say yes. And I go, great. Thanks. And I just, boom, scoop the cards, put them away, and I just walk away. Right? You just don't want to be around that. You don't want to give them time to get mad at you or whatever. You just want to get out of that situation and move on with your life. It's really brutal when your opponent goes on tilt like that. But that's what I'd say. Yeah, so don't go on tilt yourself. Don't give in to them, and just play just play to win. And then walk away and don't rub it in their face at all. It just doesn't ever feel good. But yeah, so thanks for your questions, Leia. I hope I didn't go into too much detail about that points thing. That got really complicated for a minute there. You'll get it as you go to more PTQs and more tournaments. And for fun, you can do it at FNM. Don't draw. Don't draw on FNM, right? Don't be like, let's intentionally draw. Don't do that. That's garbage, right? Just play. But you can look at the points so you can get an idea, right? You can at least look and go, oh, I see. Okay, he's got 18, I got 15. I see what's going on here. And you can kind of get an idea of how it looks. Okay, next question is a rules question from Donald. And he asks, how are gold cards like Olivia and Drovskull Captain, Stormkirk Captain, how are they for colors against cards like Doomblade or Deathmark? That's a good question. So Olivia Voldaren she costs 3 and a black and a white and a red, right? So because of that, she is both black and red. So anything that has protection from black or red gets protection from her. Or anything that says, like Doomblade, target non-black creature cannot destroy her. Anything that has to do with a red or a black permanent or creature, it affects her. She's both colors. Progenitus is every color, right? And he has protection from every color, which is kind of cool. But it's all about the mana cost. That determines what color something is. So there's some things like Memnarch. Is Memnarch the card? Let me look it up real quick. I gotta make sure I'm talking about the right one. Memnarch is a good example of not a color. Because his mana cost is all colorless, he is a colorless creature. And because his creature type is artifact, he's a colorless artifact creature, right? Even though his abilities are in blue, right? Pay 2 blue and 1, target permanent becomes an artifact. Pay 3 in a blue, gain control of target artifact. Even though that's all blue, because in his mana cost there is not a blue, you don't have to pay island for that, he's not a blue creature. Whereas, like, Phyrexian Metamorph is a blue artifact creature, even if you don't pay the blue for his mana cost. So if there's some spell that says, do this to target non-blue creature or something, well, he's blue, so it doesn't affect him, right? So anything, whatever, the color of the card is all about the mana cost of the card, unless it says in it, like such and such is black or whatever, then it's different. Okay. Okay, here's a good question. In your first day, this is from not my real name, obviously. I like that. Says, hi, love your videos, keep them up. I appreciate that, thank you. Got a couple of questions. In your first daily, you said you were a WoW TCG player and even became a level 1 judge. So why didn't you just continue playing WoW? And maybe get better than you are even at Magic? That's a good question. So what happens is, if you remember in the video, I was a WoW judge, and I did all that, and then I went on that 2-year service mission for my church. And when I came back, the place that I had played WoW at closed and did not exist anymore. And instead of trying to dedicate my time to finding more stores, I kind of found out that this was... So I left. I don't know if you guys know much about WoW, but Upper Deck used to make WoW, and they actually closed. They stopped making WoW, and then another place called Coolzero? I don't know what it's called. But another company started making WoW instead. And that happened during my mission. So I was like, oh man, I come back and it's a different company making it. My store has closed. I just kind of stopped. I just started doing WoW and started doing the actual game WoW and StarCraft 2. So I just never really got pulled back into it. And then Magic, like I said, kind of happened by accident almost to me. So I haven't played WoW in 5 years. And I don't play it well. I don't pretend to play it well. I mean, I know the rules for Magic, so I know I can play WoW well, right? But I'm not a WoW player anymore. And they're almost separate things. Not quite. But it's like I played WoW, then I did nothing, then I played Magic. It's not like I transitioned from WoW to Magic. So I don't know if that makes sense. But next question, what is your favorite Magic format? Can I say constructed? There's more to it than that. I love constructed Magic. I don't care for limited as much. Probably because I'm not as good at limited, but I like playing Legacy, I like playing Modern, and I like playing Standard. If I had to pick one, I'd say Legacy is probably my favorite, because I just love that. I love playing Red Delver and Legacy, and just, oh man, Force of Wills and Spell Pierces and Spell Snares and Vendilion Clicks. I just love the power level there. I love how powerful everything is, and I love how when you play against a really good player. I love just the way the games feel. It just feels so skill intensive. It doesn't feel like Standard can sometimes just be very automatic, and so can Legacy. But for the most part, it's not. Legacy is just so much more skill intensive than Standard, I feel. Because there's so many more decisions, and you have to know so many more things, and know what to play around, and know when you should stifle, when you should not stifle, and all of that stuff. So I think I prefer Legacy the most, but I like all constructed formats a lot. Except EDH is EDH. Okay, next one from Asher. I don't like you, Asher. Just because you're in Spartacus. Anyway, hey Fubsy, wondering if there's any chance you do videos in 1080p. So right now, as you can tell, my videos when I upload them are in 720p, and even then it's kind of fuzzy. That's actually my camera. I'm using a MacBook Pro from 2009, and the video camera in it is just a VGA, or maybe it's 480p. The quality is not good enough to make it worth processing in 1080p for the amount of power it would take for my computer. And so for Christmas, I hope to give myself a new computer, which would be sweet. And then also, I'm thinking I'm going to pick up a new camera soon, a nice web camera that will record in 1080p. Probably I'll do that in the next month or so, the next couple of weeks. And then I will be able to record better quality pictures for you guys. Because I know how to make good videos, I just physically can't with the camera that I have. So yeah, soon I'll do 1080p, but not right now. Okay, next question. So this was actually a comment posted on one of my videos, but I wanted to talk about it here. So the question was, in FubsyDaily number 5, I gave this example of the reason that Ajani, the new Ajani, says +1/+1 token on up to one target creature, and how that works with Phantasmal Image, because you can choose 0 creatures, so nothing gets a +1/+1 counter on it, so Phantasmal Image sticks around. And he asked why it's different with Restoration Angel, right? And it's all in, because if Restoration Angel, you play that card, and there's only a Phantasmal Image in play, you have to target the Phantasmal Image, even if you choose not to do the flicker. So it's all about the wording, right? Because with a Johnny, it says up to 1 target creature. So you can choose anything 1 or less. So if you choose 0 creatures, then you target 0 creatures. With Restoration Angel, it says you may flicker target creature, right? It doesn't say up to 1 target creatures, it just says target creature. So when the ability goes on the stack, it has to have a target. Now, at the end of when it resolves, you can choose at the time of resolution whether or not you want to actually flicker it. So, like if you're playing Restoration Angel in Legacy, right, and they have a Stifle, you would play the Restoration Angel, it would come into play, his ability would trigger, and you would target a creature, right? They could then stifle that, so it doesn't actually flicker. But you have to choose a target when it comes into play. Whereas with the Johnny, because it says up to 1, you can choose any number 1 or less, which is 0 or 1. So you pick 0 creatures, and then there's nothing being targeted. I hope that makes sense. If it doesn't actually make sense intellectually, you have to just trust me, and it will make sense as you continue to play the game more and more. But up to 1 target creature says 0 or 1. And if it says you may do something to target creature, you have to pick the target. If you play Magic Online, it'll make a lot more sense. Because if you play like a Fiend Hunter, it makes you pick your target. Even if you have nothing else on the battlefield, you have to pick the Fiend Hunter. Then you say, no, I don't want to do this, and then it doesn't do anything. Cool, good question. Oh, and that was from King Damice32. Next one is from Nicholas. What's up, Nicholas? Oh, his question, about looking at a deck. I'm not going to look at decks on this. I'm going to do that. I'm going to email those people as well. I'm not going to look at decks, though, on this video. I don't want to take too long and be a little bit too personal. Well, I'll do it. Maybe I'll do like another daily where I'll look at some deck lists and kind of analyze them with people. So let's move on to the next one. Can you play, okay, this is from Donald. Can you play a Phantasmal Image on your opponent's turn to copy a card with Flash? Good question. So, can you play Phantasmal Image, copy a creature with Flash, and do it at Flash speed? The answer is no. Because in your hand, Phantasmal Image does not have Flash. The card actually has to have Flash printed on it while it's in your hand. Then you can play it at instant speed. So Phantasmal Image, if you want to copy a Snapcaster Image, right, you actually cast a Phantasmal Image during normal creature casting speeds, right, sorcery speeds, during your main phase 1 or 2 when there's nothing else on the stack. That's the only time you can cast a creature, and that's the only time you can cast Phantasmal Image targeting a creature. Doesn't matter what the creature is. Yeah, and that's the answer. The answer is no. Unfortunately, you can't. I wish you could, but you can't. Okay, last question, last one. From Jacob. The question is, how does Birthing Pod react with Huntmaster of the Fells? If I pod into Huntmaster of Fells, does he flip on the same turn I pod into him? So, there's 2 parts to this question. So that's the first question, right? And the answer is, of course, it depends if you played any other spells that turn. But if you didn't, that's a good way to get him to flip immediately. So let's say last turn, 2 turns ago you played Birthing Pod. Last turn you played Huntmaster, and then you played like a Borderland Ranger, right? So now it's your turn. You untap, upkeep, draw a card, main phase 1. And then you use your Birthing Pod to get rid of your Borderland Ranger or whatever, get a Huntmaster of the Fells. Then you pass the turn. Well, no spells have been cast. Casting a spell means from your hand or from the graveyard, by casting it, paying its mana cost, putting it on the stack. None of that happened. Birthing Pod is just an ability that you activated, but it's not a spell being cast. So you can, if you cast no spells that turn, you can use your Birthing Pod on your Huntmaster, on your 3 cost, get a Huntmaster, pass the turn, Huntmaster flips. It's really good. It's really, really good. I had my little sisters come downstairs, so I had to say hi real quick. Paused it. Okay, so the second part of this question is, can I use Birthing Pod on a creature I summon this turn? Yes, absolutely you can. Because you don't have to tap the creature as part of its cost, right? And Summoning Sickness means the creature cannot attack and cannot use tap abilities to activate on the turn it comes out. Right, so if it's something where you have to, like Fauna Shaman, you have to pay a green and tap it, you have to wait a whole turn to use that. If it's something else, like can't think of anything right now. Spikeshot Elder, right? Where it just says pay 3, shoot. You don't have to tap him. You could do that immediately. It's all about turning that creature sideways. You can't do that until it's been in your control for an upkeep, for a whole upkeep. This also means if you have a creature out for like 3 turns and someone mind controls it, they don't get to use it right then. It has to be under their control since the beginning of their upkeep, right? Since their untap step, basically. But yeah. that's it. I think we're done. What are we, 1 hour? We're just about an hour. I thought it was going to be like 4 hours. That wasn't bad at all. What'd you guys think? Not bad, huh? Okay, cool. Man, thank you so much for your questions. I really had a good time with this. I want to do it again. Keep sending your questions. I'll have the contest done by tomorrow, and let's do a live stream next week. And if you want to be in on it, then be in on it. And and you can. I'm going to have it set up, so you can call in over Skype, and we can talk over the Skype call, or maybe we'll do some webcam stuff. We'll have it all set up. It'll be really sweet. Anywho, thanks so much for watching, guys. I really appreciate your support with this, and I will see you tomorrow. Bye-bye.